Hello and welcome to this urban field study on the murder of Thomas Hodgett, who was a postmaster in Navan and was killed on the 17th of February 1921. There is a workbook to accompany this field study, so make sure you download this from your Google Classroom before commencing the trip. Today we will describe the events on the night that Hodgett was murdered. We will practice our research skills, and we will analyse the available evidence in an attempt to understand and even solve the murder. We are doing this field study to help practice and generate ideas for your research study project, which you must complete for your Leaving Cert. It'll help you explore local history, and we will revise key skills of history such as chronology and constructing timelines, looking at primary and secondary sources, connecting local history to the national climate, and of course the process of research. We'll practice our key skills of working with others, critical and creative thinking, information processing and communicating, and we will also revise components of the geography curriculum such as map reading and the concept of confluence, the English curriculum such as creative writing and articles, and art such as sketching. On the 17th of February 1921, Thomas Hodgett, Loyalist postmaster in Navan, left work and returned home to his wife Grace. His 4 children were away, working or studying. He was taken from his house, shot in the chest, and his body was thrown off Poleboy Bridge into the River Blackwater. The body was found 5 weeks later. No one was ever charged with his murder. In groups of 3, you will follow the route on your map of Old Navan Town to investigate the murder. Pause the recording now to complete Task 1 in your workbook, which is defining keywords to do with this era of history. Our first stop is McDonald's on Trimgate Street. This used to be the post office. Hodgett moved to Navan from Tyrone and started working in this post office in 1917. As part of his job, he frequently liaised with the police about security. Post offices had large amounts of cash in them to pay pensions and army allowances. There was a lot of military activity around Navan in the weeks preceding the murder. On the night of his death, Hodgett's wife collected him from work at 10:45 p.m. and the pair walked home. Pause the recording to examine the building. Find clues that show its original function as a post office and use your phone to take pictures of these clues. Complete Task 2 in your workbook. Now go through Market Square and down Ludlow Street towards Smith's of the Bridge. This used to be Bernard O'Brien's public house. At 12:40 a.m, 2 people were held up on Bridge Street. They were beaten with a revolver, and they heard the attackers use the phrase "in the name of the Irish Republic." A warning shot was fired. At 12:45 a.m, 2 men knocked at the door of O'Brien's. He opened the window to see what they wanted. The men replied black and tans, open the door. When O'Brien refused, they broke in and asked for Hodgett's address. Hodgett lived further up on Academy Street. At 12:50 a.m, he and his wife were awoken by a shot fired and a knock at the door. The person identified themselves as the police. In her statement at the inquest, Grace said her husband was then led away by one of the raiders, who was of big build and wore a dark overcoat and muffler, also dark round his face, and a light grey cap. The other man who held us up wore a light fawn coat and felt hat, and joined the first man when my husband was marched away. Other witnesses confirmed Grace's description and added that they were both 6 feet tall and were joined by another shorter, stouter man in a bowler hat. One man addressed another as Bob. Pause the recording now and complete Task 3, which is a police sketch of the raiders. Use the eyewitness data on the previous slide to help you. Go back the way you came and stop on Ludlow Street. Use this photograph to help you find the building that used to be the Russell Arms Hotel. Earlier on the day of the murder, Detective Inspector Egan of the RIC and Hodgett had gone to inspect the post office in Kells as part of Hodgett's duties. Afterwards, Egan, Captain Monroe and Detective Inspector Johnson spent the evening in the Russell Arms Hotel, having dinner and talking. They left at approximately midnight. In a statement, Egan said he was wearing a dark coat, a herringbone pattern muffler and a cap. They drove home to Drogheda. The next day Egan was one of the first on the murder scene. The raiders took Hodgett via Bridge Street, Ludlow Street, Market Street and Watergate Street to Polboy Bridge, officially known as Blackwater Bridge. Follow this route now. This bridge is situated at the confluence of the River Boyne and its tributary, the River Blackwater. Can you remember what the words confluence and tributary mean from your Junior Cert Geography course? Why would this be significant when disposing of a body? The next day, Peter Cochrane described the scene. He said there were bloodstains on the bridge, both on the footpath and the parapet, and marks on the road as though a body had been dragged across. Why Hodgett? Why do you think the raiders travelled so far to dump the body? Can you find any information about the murder around the bridge today? Who do you think killed him, and why? Pause the recording now to complete task 4. Think about what was happening in Ireland at this time, 1921. Can you think of any reasons Thomas Hodgett might have been killed? Write down all your theories. Was this a political murder or a more local feud? Hodgett was a loyalist. The Irish Independent claimed that the postmaster was killed because of the friendly relations of the victim with the police and other authorities. Grace Hodgett wrote a letter to the Irish Independent on April 4th, 1921, denying that Republicans committed the act. She said, "I most emphatically deny this was the case with my late husband. He, in the course of his duties, had reported the police on more than one occasion for robbing sub-offices. Does his relationship with the police change your opinion of who might have killed him and why?" Pause the recording now to complete task 5 in your workbook, which is constructing a timeline of events of the night of the murder. Today we described the events on the night that Thomas Hodgett was murdered. We practiced our research skills, and we analysed the available evidence in an attempt to understand and maybe even solve the murder. This concludes our tour. We will discuss our theories about the murderer and what really happened that night in our next class. For homework you have a choice. Please complete a piece of creative writing, approximately 1 A4 page, from the point of view of either Hodgett or his killers on the night of the murder. Or else you can write a newspaper article, approximately 1 A4 page, about the events of that night. If you want to know more about Hodgett and his murder, check out these resources.